participating in our contest. And thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
This is the Adam Carriker Show.
Position right of the quarterback, out of the shotgun, first and 20. Jailbreak screen in the air. It is tipped. It is intercepted by Carriker at the Missouri 21-yard line.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, 8-year NFL vet and All-American defensive lineman Adam Carriker.
Shotgun snap to Everett. He's got the left arm going, and now he's got a whole lot of Adam Carriker who rips him down inside the 25-yard line.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Adam Carriker.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to a Monday edition of the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. Most weeks, we'll get into the exception here in a second. Most weeks, it's Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central Time. Grab your lunch. Come join us. We strive to be smarter than the average dumb guy. I'd say we got about a 33.3% batting average, which is great for baseball. I don't know what that speaks about the show, especially when the most interesting thing was the one gorilla versus 100 men. We got as much interaction on that as anything. But hey, we talk about, you never know what's going to happen on this show. 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central Time. Grab your lunch. Come join us. You're going to hear Husker sports, college football, sports in general. But you're going to get unique insight and bridled honesty. And producer Jake and I are going to have a whole lot of fun in the process. You guessed it. Loaded show. Michigan, self-imposed suspension of their head coach. But not the first two games of the year. It's weeks 3 and 4. One of those games is against Nebraska. And Jake and I aren't sure how we feel about it. What does that mean? What does that say? Nebraska receives a commit as well today. All right. From an in-state linebacker. We'll get into that. Nebraska softball set a lot of records this year. They're the number 3 seed going into the Big Ten tournament. Nebraska baseball gets back to 500 on the season as well. Can they get into the Big Ten tournament? Can they make a run? They've got what it takes to make noise. They started so far behind the 8 ball, you wonder, could they just get back to 500? Now they're back to 500. Now what can happen? All right, it's all about the postseason. I was going to say in every sport but college football, but I won't go off on that diatribe. Jake's smiling over there. All right. Let's see what else we got today. Husker football news, Husker football updates in general as a whole. All right, Jake, you choose. What do you want to start off with today?
Let's do some Husker football updates.
All right. Well, let's start with Nebraska adding in-state commit. All right. From linebacker Jace Reynolds. All right. 2026 linebacker Jace Reynolds has committed to Nebraska. Per on 3, 6'2", 210 pounds from Elkhorn, Nebraska. He chose the Huskers over Kansas State Northwestern. He said, and I quote, "Staying home. Let's do it, Husker Nation." End quote. Now, we have not gone after many in-state players. It doesn't seem to matter much to Rule anymore, whether you're in-state, out-of-state. He is simply going purely after, or the 500-mile radius. It doesn't seem to matter to him the way he is now looking at recruiting. Okay, cool. So when we go after an in-state Nebraska kid, and then he commits, he must think he's a really, really, really good football player. All right, and anybody who commits from, the state of Nebraska in the past or in the future, obviously they think you're good football players, but the way he's looking at recruiting now, there is not an emphasis on in-state kids so much, so to speak, at least not at this point in time. We'll see what the future holds for that. All right, but it's purely just football related. And some people might say, well, shouldn't it always have been? I've always said start in state. They got to be good enough as football players to begin with, then you go from there. I don't even think Rule's really taken that approach. He's just going purely football, regardless of geographic location of where said high school kid is living and or going to high school. So what do you think this means when it comes to specifically Jace Reynolds, Jake, on him getting an offer, him committing? He's clearly excited to stay home. But what does this speak to you about Jace himself and his abilities?
Well, it's exciting to see what will become of Jace Reynolds in this Nebraska recruiting class. Obviously, again, out there at Elkhorn North, we'll see kind of how he finishes up his high school career there. But somewhat of an edge rusher, 6'2", 205, like you said. But just very intriguing. I think it just kind of is more intriguing overall about, like you said, kind of the in-state angle, because you look at most of these recruiting rankings, maybe they value or evaluate these guys a little bit differently. maybe it's position, whatever it may be. But Jace Reynolds kind of tends to be toward the back half of the top 10 in the state, right? Kind of in the 9 through 10 type of range. And, there's 5 people committed to the Iowa State Cyclones ahead of him. So it's just kind of interesting on all those levels. But it is good to get an in-state kid, right? Maybe this will dial down a little bit of the pressure, but it's still it's still going to be just kind of interesting to see how people respond. This is going to be overwhelmingly an Iowa State class here in Nebraska. Iowa State has kind of come through, and without maybe last minute changes, rule specifically said you might get Big 12 offers before you get Big 10 offers these days. So, perhaps some of those guys you can get to flip, but it's one for the Huskers. And I think that makes me breathe a little bit easily because you don't want to lose all the top end talent in the state.
Yeah, one of the things he also said is basically desperate teams set the market. So essentially, if you're comfortable with your roster, you're comfortable with where you're at with certain things within your football program, you might be a little bit more patient. If you are in more dire need or just straight up more need of certain things, you're going to be more anxious to get out there. You're going to try to get players to commit sooner. You're going to be offering them a little bit more. It's supply and demand. I mean, it's just the business strategy that everybody under God's hot sun understands. All right, if there are a billion cheeseburgers in the world, cheeseburgers might not be that expensive. You knock it down to 100, all of a sudden that same, I don't know, what's just a straight cheeseburger cost? Let's say $8. All of a sudden it might cost $80 or something like that. Supply and demand. All right, it's kind of how it works there. So I was excited to see that. I'm curious to see how this 2026 class, 2027, now that we've got an official commit, okay, how these classes kind of morph and come together. And I'm curious to see down the road, because right now high school recruiting is not seen as important as it used to be. With people entering the transfer portal, people coming and going. I'm curious to see, do we have the 105 roster limit? I know Troy Dannage, he doesn't want that. And frankly, I'm not a crazy fan of it either. All right, college football is going to go the direction it's going to go sometimes. Sometimes it makes sense. Sometimes it makes no frickin' sense. All right, but I think the 105 roster limit's obviously going to play a huge role in this. But I'm curious to see revenue sharing, how that can potentially impact things in the future. Contracts. Does portal activity, does it stay kind of crazy and insane, the amount of kids that are in and out of the portal? Or does it kind of die down a little bit, which would then enhance the importance of high school recruiting once again if you know a kid's more likely to stay long-term throughout his career, or at least 2-3 years, as opposed to some of the guys who've gone in and out of the portal seemingly a gazillion times. So I think the way some of these things unfold, do we have 105 on the roster as a limit? Do we have revenue sharing? What does that exactly look like? Because a lot of these things are kind of in a holding pattern right now. How does that affect high school recruiting? I've talked about it in the past. That first Wednesday in February, and this seems like ancient history. Like I'm talking King Tut's tomb type of ancient history when I think about how important that Wednesday used to be. And now it's like, I think this year we were doing a show and I was like, during one of the breaks, I was like, do you realize today, the first Wednesday in February would have been the old National Signing Day? And I think you were like, oh yeah, that used to be like a national holiday for college football fans. So anyways, I hope that day starts to hold. It's in December now, whether it's, February, December, whatever the case may be. The general consensus of whenever the national signing day is, I hope that day, December now is when it is, late December, mid to late December. I hope it starts to hold more importance. There's more stickiness to the commitments and the portal isn't quite as active. All right. So we'll see how that unfolds going forward. I do want to dive into a little bit of Nebraska softball. They finished the Big Ten season 17-5, tied for second in the Big Ten. They lost the head-to-head versus UCLA, so UCLA is the 2 seed. All right, Nebraska softball is the 3 seed heading into the Big Ten tournament. I mean, they swept Maryland. Okay, kind of mollywopped them their last 4 games to end the season. Let me see here. I wrote it down. Won 10 of their last 12 games. And really, you look at some of these scores of these last 12 games. They won 9-1, 9-2, 6-0, 6-0. All right, the next game they won was 12-8, 12-4, then 3-0. All right, and let me see, 10-1, 11-1. So some of these were kind of molly-whopping type games. They beat Creighton 8-2 if you keep going on back. So and they took 2 out of 3 from Iowa. I kept scrolling to an appropriate part that just made my day. Took 2 out of 3 from Iowa. That's always good to see. So Nebraska softball seems poised to make a run in this postseason. All right, let me get to some of the notes there. As I mentioned, they swept Maryland in a record-setting Big Ten regular season finale. They also set 2 attendance records and several records on the field this year as well. And it's interesting because if you think about Oregon and UCLA, you know, we'd be Big Ten champs right now had they not joined the Big Ten this year. They're the 1 and 2 seeds in the Big Ten tournament. Oregon and UCLA. How sweet would that have been? And still having a great season and still can go win the Big Ten tournament championship. How sweet would that have been to have that regular season Big Ten championship? It's what I've said in football. It is exponentially harder to win a conference title, and it doesn't really mean that much anymore, the way things are set up right now, at least, than it is to get in the college football playoff. Like, I think it's actually harder to get in the college football playoff than it is to win an SEC or a Big Ten championship in football or in some of these other sports as well. What are your thoughts there on Nebraska softball? And we've mentioned it several times. They have the potential to make a Women's College World Series type run. If you're one of the top 3 teams in the Big Ten or the SEC, you're doing pretty good. Now, I've admitted before, Southern teams, warmer weather, it's easier to get outside and do certain things in baseball, softball. They got a little bit of an advantage, but you're still one of the 2 best conferences in America. Probably the SEC number 1 when it comes to baseball, softball, especially if you look at the top 25. The Southern teams, even Big 12 ACC teams, they kind of dominate the top 25, okay? But you still got a good chance to make a pretty deep run into the postseason. And when you talk about the potential that they have, it's still going to come down to what can they do with runners in scoring position, with runners on base? Can they find consistency? One of the records they set is most home runs in a season. They set it with like 3 weeks to go in a season. I mean, a lot of these scores that I read off, there's a lot of points being put on the board. 9 runs, 9 runs, 12 runs, 12 runs, 10 runs, 11 runs, 8 runs. You go back to that Iowa series, 14-1, 12-0. All right. And so they are able to score. Obviously, you got one of the best all-around players, one of the best pitchers in Jordy Bahl. I feel like some of the other pitchers have stepped up throughout the season to help the number 20 ranked Huskers so far. I'm curious to see what we can do in the Big Ten tournament. And then obviously, regionals, super regionals, can they make a run to Oklahoma City, the Women's College World Series? All right, Jake, what are your thoughts on all this?
Well, obviously, the better they do in the Big Ten tournament, the better positioning they'll get for that NCAA tournament run. And that's what is good for the Big Ten tournament, though. They're already in a good position there. The top 4 seeds get a bye. Nebraska, as you said, falling into that category. And those big-time runs that you're talking about, they had 22 of their 38 wins were run rule wins. So they had to call it off.
That's another record, too, by the way.
Yeah, that is incredible. So it just really has been a fun year. Last time they won the regular season, though, was 2014. So you have to wait a little longer there. Like we've kind of said, with adding those teams in the conference, it's crazy to kind of think about winning a championship of 18 teams. 12 teams make this, this tournament. Same will be said in baseball. So that's why baseball certainly making a move lately here has been important. And we'll get to that here, too. But this has just been one of the more exciting and fun times to be a Nebraska softball fan. I saw they sold out this Bullen Stadium the other day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just exciting, and we'll see kind of what happens here. But if you haven't jumped on the support bus, I suppose now is the time to do so, because it's about to get fun.
I completely agree. It's interesting. I just pulled up the NCAA softball top 25 rankings again, just to kind of check. All right, the team's north of the Mason-Dixon line, which I don't even know exactly where that's located, but I've heard it said before, so I said it here, versus teams south of the Mason-Dixon line, and how many of them in the top 25 are below and above? When you look at northern-type teams, all right, it's really Oregon, number 3 in the country. Then you got to go a little bit of a ways before another one pops up. Would you consider, I've always thought, I know Virginia, is considered a southern state, but on a map, don't they look more northern to you? Is that just me?
I'd have to go check where they were in the Civil War to see if they're north or south.
Well, they were south in the Civil War. I'm just saying geography. Because you got Virginia Tech. So I guess, I don't know, wherever you want to put them, that would be a second team. If you want to put them in the north, then you got Nebraska, Ohio State. That's it. And Grand Canyon is 25th in the country at 40-6. So outside of that, there's really about 3 to 4 northern teams. All the rest are in the south. Arizona, Alabama, Clemson. All right, Stanford, Mississippi State. By the way, I went to my daughter's track meet, Northwest High School, this past weekend in Omaha, and this big dude, just jack dude, walking around with a Mississippi State shirt on. And I was like, is there a Mississippi State football player here randomly? I was busy getting cooked by the sun. By the way, check out the farmer's tan, dude. Do you see this?
Yeah, you see that pretty well on the TV.
Look at that. Yeah, my kids were making fun of me. So I appreciate that. I'm out all day baking, supporting you. Then you want to mock me. Thank you. See if I show up again. I will. But I was busy getting cooked by the sun, so I didn't really think much of it. I saw him later on, and someone's like, dude, you're a big dude. He's like, yeah, I play for Mississippi State. So I was randomly, there's a Mississippi State football player there at Northwest High School in Omaha, Nebraska, watching a track meet this past
Did he
weekend.
have one of those bells? Was he ringing the bells?
No, he was not.
Okay.
He was not ringing the bell, but he definitely stood out in a crowd, that's for sure. So with Nebraska softball, it's been an exciting season, a record-setting season, been a ton of fun to follow, cover, talk about. Now is when you really crank it up. The postseason is when it really matters the most. Excited to see what happens. To me, it's going to come down to the kind of the same things I've been talking about all year. What can they do in close games? What can they do against the better teams? What can they do in those clutch situations? They've shown they can dominate average to below average teams. They've shown they can score runs. They've shown they can do a lot of things, which is why it's exciting to watch them. What can they do when the margin for error becomes much, much thinner? What can they do when the competition becomes a little bit more elite consistently going forward? Again, runners on base. Runners in scoring position. Can you have multiple people step up? Those are going to be the difference makers in the upcoming games, which are going to be, as the Big Ten tournament, as regionals, as everything else, the postseason progresses. Those games are going to be much, much closer. I'm excited to see what they could do. This was after Friday's game. Jordy Bahl obviously having a great season. She pitched a complete game shutout, hit a home run, and had 9 strikeouts as a pitcher. Not as a hitter, that would be a record. But she had 9 strikeouts on the day as well. All right. In her next pitching outing, Jordy Bahl threw a one-hitter for her 21st win of the season. She has an ERA of 1.49 and 159 to third innings pitched. She's hitting .476 with 18 homers. All right. So, it's going to be exciting to see what they can do going forward. We got, obviously, more Husker football to talk about. A crazy Kentucky Derby stat. All right. A few other crazy stats to chat about as well. Baseball, football, and Michigan. Are they, I don't think they really care, but it comes across as just a little bit insulting. Are they insulting Nebraska, whether they intend to or not? Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Shwezo Construction is now hiring for skilled craftsmen, steel erectors, concrete workers, and general laborers. Shwezo Construction offers great benefits like premium wages, health and dental insurance, paid holidays and vacation, 401k with company match, life insurance, and disability insurance. They pride themselves on a legacy of 40 years built on integrity and trust. Joining their team means becoming part of a family that values hard work, dedication, and mutual respect. Apply today at shwezo.com. That's SCHWISOW.com.
National Electrical Safety Month is held every May to raise awareness about the importance of staying safe around electricity. Visit les.com/safety for safety tips on power lines, tree trimming, storms, and so much more.
Mike, the insurance company wants us to replace the roof.
Wait, what? I thought everything was fine.
Yeah, it says right here our roof is too old and they won't be able to cover us anymore.
I guess it is 15 years old. Hi, I'm Austin with Roofing Service Company. We help homeowners with their roofing and siding projects. Financing options are available, and we can get you under a new roof no time at all. If this sounds like you, visit roofingservicecompany.com. That is roofingservicecompany.com.
Lincoln's new craft cocktail lounge is Bar 48 in Lincoln. Located at 2639 North 48th Street, Bar 48 offers everything from cocktails to beer to wine and so much more. With summer right around the corner, you can always enjoy Bar 48's frozen beverages. Follow them on Facebook to stay up to date on their live music performances every Saturday night. Make plans to visit Bar 48 on North 48th Street in the heart of the University Place neighborhood today.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. Spring is here, summer is fast approaching. With weddings, vacations, and weekend getaways on your mind, do not let car issues prevent you from getting where you need to be. Car problems shouldn't be something that you put up with. Let us get you back on the road in comfort and safety. We diagnose all makes and models from Porsches to Hondas, Toyotas, and Chevrolets. We fix a variety of issues with all of them with our talented techs and our experienced staff. A1 Automotive at 11th and L, downtown Lincoln, always honest answers.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Copple Chevrolet GMC, and they're having the biggest hail sale they've ever had. A huge opportunity is at your front door right now. Some of these cars we're fixing, some we're not, and some it's totally up to you. New Sierra starting at $15,000 off list. New Canyons at $8,500 off list. New body styles on the Acadias, $3,000 off list. You need to hurry as there's going to be a lot of people heading to Louisville. Check us out at copplecars.com. Stock numbers G121492, G1877747, and G1965599.
The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeyman electricians from $32.50 to $42.50 per hour with paid benefits. And if you're looking for a new career, they're hiring apprentices at $19.50 per hour with paid benefits. Call the office at 402-423-4497 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Advanced Medical Imaging is the largest radiology group in Nebraska, located in Lincoln at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard. At Advanced Medical Imaging, they utilize state-of-the-art technology and blend it together with their compassionate, skilled team to guide you through every step. Whether it's an MRI, CT scan, or X-ray, their precise diagnostics help your doctor deliver the best care plan for you. Choose clarity and comfort in your life by choosing Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard and online at amimaging.com.
Your new Total Wine in Lincoln has the largest selection of wines, spirits, and beers, plus totally low prices and friendly service from our helpful guides. With over 8,000 wines, 4,500 spirits, and 2,500 beers, you're sure to find your favorites and something new. You can even order delivery, in-store, or curbside pickup. Find what you love what you find. Only at Total Wine and More. Now open in Lincoln next to Gateway Mall.
Drink responsibly, B21.
At Allo, we go beyond internet, bringing you faster speeds backed by an all-fiber network. We go beyond TV and phone service, delivering reliable, crystal clear connections. We go beyond customer service with local teammates and no robots for a hassle-free experience. We go beyond value, offering transparent prices with no contracts, hidden fees, or data caps. We even go beyond our office doors by working, hiring, volunteering, and living in the communities we serve. Go beyond fiber. Sign up today at allofiber.com.
An hour ago, you didn't need a plumber. Now you're in a panic. When life throws you a surprise with a clogged drain, plugged or leaky toilet, broken pipe, leaky faucet or water heater, or a bathroom or kitchen plumbing upgrade, whatever. Just call Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing, 467-1111. Keep that number handy, 467-1111. Or go to BryantLincoln.com. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
Your new Total Wine in Lincoln has the largest selection of wines, spirits, and beers, plus totally low prices and friendly service from our helpful guides. With over 8,000 wines, 4,500 spirits, and 2,500 beers, you're sure to find your favorites and something new. You can even order delivery, in-store, or curbside pickup. Find what you love what you find. Only at Total Wine and More. Now open in Lincoln next to Gateway Mall.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We live in a time when intelligent people are being silenced, so the stupid people won't be offended. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to put a button on the Nebraska softball. So they set records for the most amount of home runs, the most amount of run rule games, times they basically had to end the game early. How many did you say it was exactly, Jake?
22.
You had the number.
That's crazy. 22 of them.
They played 50 games. That's almost 50%. All right. They set a lot of records, but here was another one. specifically. Nebraska drew a crowd of 2,628 on Sunday to put the total weekend attendance to 7,929, making this weekend's series versus Maryland the highest attended three-game series in Husker softball history. Just a reminder, the Big Red moved to 38-12 as an overall in the season. Again, that's 50 games. All right, I do math. The Big Ten, they're 17-5. All right, so Nebraska softball, going to be watching them going forward. Going to be a lot of fun. Let's see, Nebraska baseball here. They're back to 500. The whole year, it's been kind of like just like a waiting. Like, we know they've got it in them. We know they've got experience. We know they've got talent. We know that they've got the ability to win games and beat good teams. They beat Vanderbilt right out the gate. Then a top 5 Oregon State team. People don't know this. Like, Oregon State's a baseball power. One of the few northern teams that is. If you've ever been to Corvallis, Oregon, you wouldn't walk into that place and be like, oh, they're going to be great at baseball. No, nothing about that says they're going to be great at baseball. But they are, and they have been for a long time. They took 2 out of 3 from Oregon State at one point, if you remember. The question was, were they going to be able to just get back to 500, just get back to where they could get within striking distance of making some noise in the postseason? All right. They, over the weekend, their last game on Sunday, beat Minnesota 8-3. They had 13 hits, all right, including a 4-run 8th inning. All right. Swanson, Sanderson both delivered out of the bullpen, pitched 4 1/3 innings combined, only gave up 1 earned a run. Now, the Huskers take the rubber match from Minnesota to get back to 500 on the season. The ball game changed in the 7th. The Huskers were trailing 3-1, and Minnesota was threatening for more with 2 in scoring position before Grant Clivinger got 2 huge outs out of the bullpen. The Big Red then scored 3 runs in the bottom half to take the lead and added 4 more in the 8th inning to put the game away. 5 different Husker bats had multiple hits on the day. This, I think this was from Saturday. A note from Saturday. For the second time this week, Nebraska baseball won in a walk-off fashion. The Huskers battled back from a 3-0 deficit to even the series with Minnesota. Again, this was Saturday. A little bit out of order here, but I think you're picking up what I'm putting down here. Robbie Bowling came up clutch with the bases loaded, ripping the winning RBI single to right to close out the victory for the Huskers. All right, again, Nebraska 24-24 in the season, 11-13 in the Big Ten. All right, Gabe Swanson on Sunday again was 2 for 4 with a double and 2 RBIs, while Robbie Bolin, Caden Brumbaugh, Will Jeske, and Joshua Overbeek pieced together 2 hit performances for each one of those individuals as well. Now, I'm going to look up their schedule officially, okay, because they've got more regular season ball left to play, I do believe. All right, but Jake, what are your thoughts? What can they do? Realistically, they seem to have gotten a little bit of momentum, found a little bit of consistency. We talked about the bats being frozen. Now, this was literally when it was freezing outside, like back in February, early March. They seem to have thawed, and they seem to have found their stroke, so to speak, at the plate. What are your thoughts there, Jake?
Yeah, I think they've won like their last 3 Big Ten series to put them in this position, so that's good. If you do look at the standings, they are going to still be battling. Remember, they're 12 teams getting the Big Ten tournament. Right now, they're 11th. They're a game ahead of 2 teams that is battling for 12th right now. So still some work to be done, but they've put themselves in a position to extend the season. Now they've got a couple Big Ten opponents coming up here in Michigan and Purdue. Michigan at 14-10 in the Big Ten season. So they're ahead of Nebraska in the standings. Maybe can kind of make up some ground there. Purdue 9-15 in the Big Ten standings. They likely won't make the Big Ten tournament, so certainly want to take care of that. But more important than anything, or even postseason, is they've got Creighton coming up next. And
I was going to say, yeah.
They've tied that series 1-1, so they got to win that one to win the season series. And Creighton 31-13 on the season. So they've definitely had a very good year. So still some work to be done. But Nebraska baseball, we basically said had to turn. We were waiting for a season turning point. Like, where was it going to be? And they've done that again with their last couple of series in the Big Ten.
As always, just a reminder, check out all things The Ticket at theticketfm.com. Social media as well. Facebook, X, YouTube, Amazon Prime, anywhere you get your podcast platforms, or simply turn that radio dial to 93.7. To Jake's point, yes, Creighton is on Tuesday. So what a birthday gift it would be for me. Oh, I forgot to mention this earlier. I will not be in studio tomorrow. Okay, we're swapping days. DP and Steve Taylor have agreed to swap days with me this week. All right, so I will be celebrating the birthday tomorrow, May 6th, and then I will be in studio Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week. So this week is Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But what a birthday gift it would be for me is if Nebraska could beat Creighton and take the season series 2-1 on Tuesday. Then following that, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, as Jake mentioned, 3-game series here in Lincoln versus the Michigan Wolverines. All right, senior day will be this Saturday, May 10th, and then they finish out the regular season with a 3-game set in West Lafayette, Indiana at Purdue. What do you think they have to do? These last, okay. I could argue the single game that is the most important is Creighton, but in the overall terms and aspect of things, the 6 Big Ten games probably matter just a smidge more. All right. Despite our good buddies in Omaha, what do you think they have to do to finish the season to ensure that they just make the Big Ten tournament? Because I do. I think this is a team that should make anybody who plays them nervous. Like right now, you feel like they can lose to anybody. You feel like they can beat anybody. So it's got to make anybody that they play potentially a little bit nervous. What do you think they have to do to ensure they're one of those top 12 teams out of the 18 teams in the Big Ten to make the Big Ten tournament?
Well, we've been talking about, the fight to get to 500, they're still 2 games behind in Big Ten play. So if you got 6 games left, I'd at least want to split those. You want to win both series, right? I think you'd feel very good if you could take 2 out of 3 against Michigan and Purdue, so win a total of 4 of those, but at least win 3 of them. If you go 2-4 down the stretch against these teams, some of those teams below you might be able to catch up to you. And to your point, the Creighton game, again, the season series is on the line, but there's not a whole lot more on that line. So you almost, Tuesday would be it'd be good to get the win, right? Then you're above 500, and you lose, you're below 500 once again. And so that could be certainly a kick in the teeth from Creighton over there. But so maybe momentum, all that sort of stuff. But I'll tell you what, I'd rather win. I'd rather go 6-0 against the Big Ten in 1 loss against Creighton than anything else here as you kind of look down the final few games of this season.
It's kind of interesting because if you look at it from a managerial and or coaching perspective, you just had games Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You got another 3-game set, uber important this next Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then here's this Tuesday game that in the terms of the postseason means nothing. But in terms of the stuff you got to hear year-round from one of your rivals means something. What do you do pitching rotation-wise? Do you put one of your best pitchers out there? Do you put one of your least effective pitchers out there? It's probably just the next guy in the rotation, and I'm probably overthinking this because it's fun to do on air. But I don't know if you're Will Bolt and you've got all your pitchers available, but this is kind of you're going through this mindset. Well, how do you approach who you're going to throw on the mound?
I like you. You hate to say it, but I like you kind of said, I would not necessarily be throwing my best stuff here. Because it's just every game matters. You do that whole thing. Of course, the in-state stuff matters. But when you just kind of get to the final, like this is either you make it or you don't, and these are the games that really kind of matter right here. You just kind of gotta address what it is.
So it's funny because Ohio State in football is the national champs. All right, they didn't win the conference. They didn't beat their big rival. Michigan fans, I don't know why this stuff pops up on my feed all the time. They just like the whole WrestleMania sign thing. They hadn't like in the middle. There was the sign that said, I forget what it was, 1,800 billion days since Ohio State's beaten Michigan. So Michigan, people will not let this go, and rightfully so. So Ohio State played Michigan this past weekend. Final after 7 innings, Wolverine. If the score wasn't so lopsided, it would help a little bit. But Michigan beat the Buckeyes 23-1. All right, after 7 innings. Now, let me see here. A Michigan fan commented below, this game should count as 3 losses. I was willing to give them credit, but they couldn't even keep it within 3 touchdowns. Whoa. The rivalry that just does not end. All right, I thought this was pretty cool. Former Husker Jake Myers, absolutely, he's having a great season. Absolutely went off on Saturday. He was 4 for 4, 2 home runs, a triple, a double, and 7 RBIs. He just about won the Major League Baseball MVP in one day right there. Now, when I saw this, a question popped in my head. 2 home runs, a triple, and a double. Now, all he was missing was a single to get the cycle. Would you trade one of those hits for more bases for a single, which is going to give you less bases, obviously on the hit, to say you hit for the cycle? What would you do there, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, I might give up a double to hit a single, but I wouldn't give up one of those homers.
Well, now that I look at it, it would be the homer. He had 2 homers, a triple, and a double, so he'd have to swap a homer for a single. I would not swap a homer for a single. If I could swap, like you said, a double or something, maybe I would do that.
And I believe, too, like the cycle obviously puts you in an elite category, but I think doing this, what he did, puts you even more of an elite category. So even though it's not a fun name for it, it technically is obviously more effective. 7
RBIs. That's crazy. I had such a mean joke pop into my head. Can I say it?
Yeah.
It's my show.
I think.
Isn't that more points than LeBron had in the fourth quarter of their game 5 versus the Minnesota Timberwolves?
Yeah, you can take LeBron.
I told you it was mean. I don't know if it's accurate. I apologize. All right. Okay. I'm not per se a big Yankees fan, but respect. All right. Respect to Aaron Judge. In his last 7 games, he's hitting .519 with 4 home runs and 7 RBIs. By the way, the Major League Baseball average during that time is just over 300 is the batting average. He's batting .519, so almost 200 points higher. And his on-base percentage, his on-base percentage is basically 200 points higher than the average across Major League Baseball as well. And to be clear, I think on the season he's hitting about .420. And I was talking with a Yankees fan the other day. All right. They're aware I'm not the biggest Yankees fan in the world. They're standing there in their pinstripe hat and shirt. We've had this discussion. And I was just talking about Judge. I'm like, man, respect. Part of me loves that he, almost could have gone with football too. All right. But he chose baseball. And he goes, yeah, his batting average is down to .420. I'm like, do you realize what you just said? His batting average is down to .420. That is insane. Now, most people want to talk about the home run records, all right? Barry Bonds, 74, and you got the summer of 98, okay, where you got McGuire and Sosa and Griffey for a while. Obviously, McGuire pulled away, and then Sosa actually hit over 62 twice. I don't know if anybody's ever done it twice, but then Judge is credited, however you want to look at this, with the non-steroid record of 62 home runs, okay? All right. To me, the record I've always wanted to see, it's not a record, but the thing I've always wanted to see someone do again is the 400 batting average. Only one person's done it in history, Ted Williams. We discussed Tony Gwynn hit 391 in the 90s. The Royals player. Who's the Royals player who hit?
George
Brett. Came close as well. I'm just like, I don't know if we'll ever see that again. At least not in my lifetime. Now, I got hopefully another 40, 50 years to live. We'll see, all right? But I'm like, man, that's the thing I keep my eye on. Do I think Judge is going to hit the whole year over 400? No, but man, he's unequivocally, in my opinion, the best hitter in baseball, not just for power, but for average on base and everything as well. So that's actually something I want to keep my eye on. What's his average stay at? Because to me, that's as impressive a stat or achievement that's only been done once in the history of Earth that I think is pretty cool to follow and see if somebody else can duplicate it. All right, let me see here. One trivia question for you, Jake, before we head to break. Which pitcher threw 7 no-hitters but never won a Cy Young Award? And you know his name.
That's a lot of no-hitters.
It's not some unheard of guy. Like, you're going to know his name. 7 no-hitters and never won a Cy Young. I think Austin knows it. Austin, you want to come in and say it? All right, Austin's going to sneak in here and say it. I'll see if he can get part 2, because there's a part 2 to this as well. That'd be pretty impressive. Who is it?
Should be Nolan Ryan.
It is Nolan Ryan.
Okay.
Can you get part 2? Can you get part 2? All right. Who is the pitcher who won 7 Cy Young Awards but never threw a no-hitter? And you're going to know his name, too.
7 Cy Youngs, not a no-hitter.
Pitched for a long time. Had a great nickname.
Roger Clemens.
2 for 2, man. Nailed it. See? Roger Clemens. Think about this. Roger Clemens won, and he's a great. Now, nobody's going to dispute the awards he won. Won 7 Cy Young Awards, but never threw a no-hitter. And then Nolan Ryan threw 7 no-hitters. Now, how did he never win a Cy Young? Did I tell you I had the wonderful opportunity to meet Nolan Ryan years ago?
Did you?
So when I first got drafted, my financial group was out of Houston. So we went down there, teach us rookies how to not blow all of our money right out the gate. And there's an older gentleman sitting there. And I nudge Ange. I'm like, that has to be Nolan Ryan. He's my favorite pitcher growing up. I'm like, that has to be Nolan Ryan. And so then they have him get up and talk, and it's Nolan frickin' Ryan. So I had the opportunity to meet my favorite childhood pitcher. And I thought that was pretty cool. And I'll be honest with you, one of the things that kind of cemented him being my favorite, remember when the batter charged the mound and he got him in a headlock and just pounded him into oblivion? Yeah. I'm like, that's a man right there. You go come at me, you go get something. All right, ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Are you a fan of local wine, craft beer, cider, or spirits? Don't miss SIP Nebraska's 12th anniversary celebration, May 9th and 10th at Mahoney State Park, and join others who share your passion for great drinks. Enjoy unlimited tastings, live music, delicious food, artisans, and lawn games as you celebrate Nebraska's vibrant beverage industry. And when you find one you love, you can buy a bottle to take home. Choose your ticket package at sipnebraska.com. The SIP Nebraska Spring Festival, a Blur event, May 9th and 10th at Mahoney State Park in Ashland.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. Spring is here, summer is fast approaching. With weddings, vacations, and weekend getaways on your mind, do not let car issues prevent you from getting where you need to be. Car problems shouldn't be something that you put up with. Let us get you back on the road in comfort and safety. We diagnose all makes and models from Porsches to Hondas, Toyotas, and Chevrolets. We fix a variety of issues with all of them with our talented techs and our experienced staff. A1 Automotive at 11th and L, downtown Lincoln, always honest answers.
Advanced Medical Imaging is the largest radiology group in Nebraska, located in Lincoln at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard. At Advanced Medical Imaging, they utilize state-of-the-art technology and blend it together with their compassionate, skilled team to guide you through every step. Whether it's an MRI, CT scan, or X-ray, their precise diagnostics help your doctor deliver the best care plan for you. Choose clarity and comfort in your life by choosing Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard and online at amimaging.com.
Mike, the insurance company wants us to replace the roof.
Wait, what? I thought everything was fine.
Yeah, it says right here our roof is too old and they won't be able to cover us anymore.
I guess it is 15 years old. Hi, I'm Austin with Roofing Service Company. We help homeowners with their roofing and siding projects. Financing options are available, and we can get you under a new roof no time at all. If this sounds like you, visit roofingservicecompany.com. That is roofingservicecompany.com.
Lincoln's new craft cocktail lounge is Bar 48 in Lincoln. Located at 2639 North 48th Street, Bar 48 offers everything from cocktails to beer to wine and so much more. With summer right around the corner, you can always enjoy Bar 48's frozen beverages. Follow them on Facebook to stay up to date on their live music performances every Saturday night. Make plans to visit Bar 48 on North 48th Street in the heart of the University Place neighborhood today.
Make plans to join 93.7 The Ticket and the Amon Green Foundation for the first annual Nebraska Esports Golf Tournament on Monday, June 9th at Wilderness Ridge. It's a four-man scramble starting at 11 a.m. that will feature former Husker greats, including Amon Green, Johnny Rogers, Niles Paul, Tony Davis, Adam Carriker, Vershawn Jackson, and more, with great prizes and great golf. Sponsorships are also available. Email Jake at theticketfm.com for more questions or sign your team up online at theticketfm.com. Early bird registration goes through April 20th, and overall registration goes through May 30th.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills Global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Rain, snow, or shine, John Henry's is here to keep your home's plumbing systems working properly no matter what kind of weather Nebraska throws at us. From unclogging toilets and drains to installing new water heaters and water treatment systems, John Henry's is your plumbing expert in the Lincoln and Omaha communities. Visit us at calljh.com or call John Henry's.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air,
and Electrical.
Nebraska Veterans Aid is here for veterans and dependents facing unforeseen financial emergencies. Get assistance with food, fuel, shelter, clothing, transportation, and even funeral and medical expenses. If you're a veteran facing a financial emergency, apply for Nebraska Veterans Aid through your county veteran service officer. Learn more at veterans.nebraska.gov/NVA. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Boom! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. All right, there's got to be a quick, hard-hitting segment. And then we got Michigan insults Nebraska, kind of, sort of, in a roundabout way. Husker football roundup and a whole lot more. But Nebraska volleyball. All right, one of the nation's best volleyball programs traveled 160 miles to play a spring match in a 1,750 capacity high school gym in a town of 2,100 people, Ord, Nebraska. All right. Let's see. The Nebraska volleyball team posted a four-set sweep, 25-18, 25-19, 25-17, 25-19 in their spring match win over South Dakota State in front of a sold-out crowd of 1,750. Again, that's almost the entire town of Ord in the high school, auditorium or gymnasium this past Saturday afternoon. The Huskers capped their spring season winning all 8 of the sets they played. Harper Murray had 12 kills, 7 digs, 5 blocks, 2 aces, and yes, a partridge in a pear tree. All right, Nebraska volleyball looks very good so far. Nebraska basketball. Nebraska coach Fred Hoiberg announced Monday that Tulsa transfer Jared Garcia has signed with the Nebraska men's basketball program for the 2025-2026 season. Garcia, 6'9", 245-pound forward from Houston, Texas, spent the last 2 years at Tulsa, where he played in 48 games for the Golden Hurricanes. He has 1 year of eligibility remaining. All right, Jake. A lot of transfer additions, which we knew Nebraska basketball needed. Not a surprise. Didn't know what it would look like. Real quick, before we take this quick break here. All right. We've chatted a little bit about the guys on board so far. How much do you think this addition can help make an impact and the new additions as a whole for Nebraska basketball potentially next year?
Well, I think Garcia definitely helps kind of with your front court depth, 6'8", 240, a forward that can come in and help. Not particularly adept at shooting from beyond the arc, so that's a little bit different. Maybe can attack a little bit different ways than a lot of what Nebraska is going to be doing. So we'll see. He's just kind of intriguing. I want to learn a little bit more about him because he was the Tulsa's third leading scorer, but he only got, per game, but he only got 17 minutes per game. So that kind of tells you maybe he's some sort of offense off the bench or some sort of thing. So I have to do a little bit more digging there. But certainly a guy, if for nothing else, they seem to, once again, like they have been doing the last couple of years, getting enough guys in to compete for spots. There might be 1 or 2 guys that end up not getting a whole lot of playing time, but with the Nebraska basketball team, that's where you want to be. There's been years, where guys maybe are playing when they not necessarily should be. So I again think that it's going to be competitive to get out there on the floor for Fred Hoiberg's team.
I love that he brings a different skill set. We brought in a lot of guys who can shoot from beyond the arc, a lot of guys who could potentially score, put points on the board. Maybe he'll bring a little bit more of a different skill set down low, something that can complement some of the other guys already brought in. All right, real quick, before we go to break, you watched the Kentucky Derby at all?
No, I did not.
I could see you being a hat guy. I could see you getting into the hats. Me, I just wear the same hat every day, wear it the same way. I'm very unoriginal when it comes to hats. I could see you being a hat guy.
I'd like to, but I feel like I would be faking it because I just want to try it one day. But I'm not a veteran. I feel like after you do it once, maybe you'll feel more like you're part of the Derby.
All right. The craziest stat I've seen about this year's Kentucky Derby is that every single horse in this year's race is a descendant of Secretariat.
I saw that too.
That's crazy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We shall return.
Roses are red, violets are blue. You should treat mom to some barbecue. At Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, we think award-winning moms deserve award-winning barbecue without having to lift a finger. We invite you and your family to gather around our table on Mother's Day for Hog Wild slow smoke favorites, or place an order to go online at gohogwild.com for a spring picnic where mom is the guest of honor. We look forward to seeing you this Mother's Day. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway in Lincoln.
At Planet Fitness, we're declaring it. This is the year of getting stronger. And you can get started now by saving when you join today. We have all the best-in-class equipment you could ever need, and you can work out your way on your time at any convenient location near you. Most open 24 hours. So let's do this. Join Planet Fitness today and save. Just $1 down, $15 a month.
Find your nearest club and join today. Deal ends Friday, May 16th.
See Home Club for details.
Lincoln's go-to for fun isn't new. It's a place that's been a staple of the city for years and is only getting better. Matson's Bowling and Billiards always has open bowling available with no long lines, unlike other centers. They have live music almost every weekend and great food at EJ's Bar and Lounge, with seating for 150 people. They have popular meals like the EJ Burger, pizza for the whole family, and famous EJ's Wings. Contact Sarah to book a party for friends, coworkers, or family at Matson's Bowling and Billiards, just south of 48th and Holdridge.
At Allo, we go beyond internet, bringing you faster speeds backed by an all-fiber network. We go beyond TV and phone service, delivering reliable, crystal clear connections. We go beyond customer service with local teammates and no robots for a hassle-free experience. We go beyond value, offering transparent prices with no contracts, hidden fees, or data caps. We even go beyond our office doors by working, hiring, volunteering, and living in the communities we serve. Go beyond fiber. Sign up today at allofiber.com.
Why wait for fall? Deer season is here now at Landmark Implement. Through June 2nd, get up to $3,000 off select John Deere compact utility tractors or Gator XUVs, or choose 0% APR financing on the hard-working 4044M, 2 Series, 3D, and 3E compact utility tractors or full-size Gator models. There's never been a better time to get behind the wheel of a Deere. Hurry into Landmark Implement today and take advantage of these offers and experience the Landmark difference.
I tried to hide my cigarette smoking. Then I was rushed into emergency surgery to repair the damage smoking did to my heart. It shocked everyone because they thought I was healthy. Yet because I smoked, I had a severe heart condition that nearly killed me. My tip is, you may be able to hide your smoking from the world, but you can't hide from the damage smoking does to your body.
Call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Authentic Mexican food is not always easy to find, but you can find it in Lincoln at Tacos Los Hermanos. Their birria tacos are worth the drive from anywhere in town, but their chicken, chorizo, al pastor, and asada tacos are also worth the trip. You can also try any of those meats in a burrito or quesadilla. You won't find a better toppings bar in the area or better dessert options. If you can't get there, don't worry, they do deliver as well. Stop by Tacos Los Hermanos for lunch or dinner today at 70th and Havelock Streets in Lincoln.
It pays to participate in LES Peak Rewards. You can earn a $25 gift card when you enroll your qualified smart thermostat in the program. Help curb electric demand and sign up today at les.com/peak rewards.
Are you a fan of local wine, craft beer, cider, or spirits? Don't miss SIP Nebraska's 12th anniversary celebration May 9th and 10th at Mahoney State Park and join others who share your passion for great drinks. Enjoy unlimited tastings, live music, delicious food, artisans, and lawn games as you celebrate Nebraska's vibrant beverage industry. And when you find one you love, you can buy a bottle to take home. Choose your ticket package at sipnebraska.com. The SIP Nebraska Spring Festival, a Blur event, May 9th and 10th at Mahoney State Park in Ashland.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills Global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Psst. You know what's better than waking up early to go to the airport? Sleeping in. Lucky for you, the lines at the Lincoln Airport are so short and our service is so fast. You won't need to sacrifice precious beauty sleep to get here hours before your flight. So, go ahead, sleep in. You deserve it, and choose the airport that helps you relax. LNK, make flying easy.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait. Apply now.
This is the Adam Carriker Show.
Position right of the quarterback, out of the shotgun, 1st and 20. Jailbreak screen in the air. It is tipped. It is intercepted by Carriker at the Missouri 21-yard line.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, 8-year NFL vet and All-American defensive lineman Adam Carriker.
Shotgun snap to Everett. He's got the left arm going, and now he's got a whole lot of Adam Carriker who rips him down inside the 25-yard line.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Adam Carriker.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to hour 2, numero dos of the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. All right, your daily friendly reminder, if you're so inclined and or interested, go to CarrikerChronicles.com to learn more and or register for the inaugural Carriker Chronicles football camp, the camp that is for the kids, featuring Eric Crouch, Amon Green, Zach Weger, Kenny Wilhite, and yours truly. July 9th here in Lincoln, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Autographs included, T-shirts included. The campus for boys and girls, K through 8th grade. All right, at the LYF Lincoln Youth Football Fields. Take your game to the next level, learn the basics and fundamentals, have a blast, and create memories for a long time. Again, learn more and to register at CarrikerChronicles.com. All right, another Michigan head football coach is being suspended. This time it's reportedly self-imposed. Michigan's Sharon Moore is expected to suspend himself weeks 3 and 4 as a punishment in the advanced scouting case. So this is interesting. Weeks 3 and 4. So there's a couple different ways to look at this. If you're wondering, weeks 3 and 4 opponents for Michigan are Central Michigan and Nebraska. Weeks 1 and 2 are New Mexico and Oklahoma. So one way to look at this is, maybe they're trying to say it's worse because it's one of the games is going to be versus a Big Ten opponent, Nebraska. You could look at it as, well, maybe they just think they're going to beat Nebraska and they're more worried about Oklahoma week 2. So they're going to self-impose, right, and a suspension of their head coach, Sharon Moore, weeks 3 and 4, because they're more concerned about weeks 1 and 2 versus New Mexico and Oklahoma. Is this like, not that they care if it is or is not, because they've done this before, by the way. We can chat about that in a second. Is this like a slight at Nebraska? What do you think, Jake? And I want to know by the fans out there, is this a slight? And this is not like some big major national news. Like nobody outside of Nebraska is going to care about this. But we're in Nebraska, and we tend to care about these things. So is this a slight at Nebraska, or are we overreaching as we sit here in the month of May?
I don't know if I would take it so much as a slight, but I do look further into it. I mentioned to you during the break, too. A couple years ago, they did an open quarterback battle through the first couple games of the season against Colorado State and Hawaii. And, you know, it was J.J. McCarthy and the kid that transferred to Iowa ultimately. But it was just, it struck me even when they were doing it, that it was disrespectful to their opponents because they weren't really worried about whether they were going to win the game or not. And again, it's Colorado State of Hawaii. So they're kind of in the middle of it. It's not necessarily, you know, some FCS opponent, but you should at least respect them a little bit. And they're just like, well, whatever, we're going to win the game. We'll see who the quarterback is. So that it does draw me a little bit to kind of think Michigan might, if they think they're going to beat you, they might go ahead and do something like that. So it does catch me a little bit off that way. Reportedly, the structure of the penalty is coming in the third and fourth game because Moore coached at or played at Oklahoma. So he gets a chance to go. And they do go to Oklahoma. They go to Norman. So it would be a chance to go and play against his former team. So that's why they're saying that it's done here, not necessarily strategically because they think they can beat Nebraska. But on Nebraska's end, it is probably the second most difficult game on paper for Nebraska. And so, you know, you take the head coach out of the equation, you know, other than the Penn State game on the road. I mean, this is big news for Nebraska schedule watchers.
So in 2022 is the year you're referring to where J.J. McCarthy started what game? And it was Cade McNamara that started the other game. Okay. And, you know, in 2023, Harbaugh was suspended the first couple games of the season. And then he ultimately got suspended later on while they were literally getting on the plane to go play at Happy Valley at Penn State. But I think he was suspended the first 2 games of that season, which was against East Carolina, UNLV, that particular year, 2 years ago, and they won the national title. All right. And again, Penn State, remind me, did he coach in the Big Ten title game that year versus Iowa?
I don't think so. So I think it was like a 3-game suspension. The final, I think it was Penn State, Ohio State, and the Big Ten title game that he sat out.
So he missed like a quarter of the season and some major games in there as well.
Yeah.
They still found a way to win. Then that's why Sharon Moore became the obvious choice for the head coach when Harbaugh went to the Chargers. You know, it's interesting because a part of this is having a little bit of fun as well. It's interesting because they look at Oklahoma. This is an SEC team. They're probably, and I know they didn't have the best season last year, they may be viewed as a little bit ahead of Nebraska right now, although they've got a bunch of question marks in their own right as well. And, oh my Lord, a brutal schedule. Oklahoma and Florida, they're basically playing like a soft NFL schedule. If you look at their schedules, it's insanity. Not our problem, but something that I'm just kind of like keeping an eye on. Like, it's very interesting to me. When the Gators went 7-6 last year, I'm like, dude, that's like going 9-4 with their schedule that they had a year ago. And they even beat some pretty good teams like Ole Miss. They upset them at home when they were top 5 in the country, knocking them out of the playoffs. But you get back to Michigan. And I think there's something to be said for Sharon Moore and his previous tie to Oklahoma. And, you know, he wants to be there. He wants to be a part of that game. It's at Oklahoma. So there's that addition as well. From a Nebraska perspective, you look at the schedule. All right. And you look at it early on in the season. And obviously we're going to start right out the gate. Cincinnati, you don't want to overlook anybody. You don't want to disrespect anybody. Okay, August 28th, Arrowhead Stadium. You go beyond that. You've got Akron, the game that should have been played like, 8 years ago? Sorry, I brought that up. Houston Christian. And then you got Michigan State. Those are going to be 2 tough teams, 2 tough opponents, both in Lincoln. Now, I'm not going to sit here and just say, hey, we're automatically going to be 3-0, but I think it's fair to expect that there's a good chance we'll be 3-0 heading into that Michigan game. Husker Nation, especially if that's a night game potentially, if we're 3-0, they're 3-0 potentially. I know they've got Oklahoma or whatever. That's going to be a raucous place to play. It's going to be similar to Colorado last year. So if I'm Michigan, I don't think there's any way I look at what Matt Rule is building. We still got to do it on the field. But you look on paper, you got talented wide receivers, a talented quarterback. You've got what appears to be an improved offensive line. You got a defense that's been top 22 years in a row, probably more athletic than they've been, less experienced than they've been. So I expect big plays, explosive plays from the defense. I also expect a few busts here and there as we learn on the defensive side of the ball. But I don't look at a potentially 3-0 Nebraska game in Lincoln, possibly at night, especially if both teams are undefeated. There's no way they're looking at that as an easy game. So I'm trying to have a little bit of fun. Ooh, they're insulting us. I don't think they really care anyways. But I think it's more about probably his tie to Oklahoma and things of that nature. What say you, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, I can agree to that. But it is also interesting just to think, you know, because like I said, this Michigan game could be seen as one of the more challenging games on Nebraska's schedule. That being said, it's not a game, as you were kind of spelling out there, that you just go, well, there's a 75% chance Michigan's going to win. It still feels like a 50-50. And so losing your head coach in that is a big deal. Remember, Michigan, there's just going to be an interesting team because on paper you can say, well, they couldn't pass the ball at all last year. Does, Bryce Underwood win the job? He would be kind of one of his first big road atmospheres. We already mentioned going to Oklahoma, so he'd be a little bit tested by then. Can they even throw? But they couldn't throw last year, and they beat Alabama and Ohio State. So it's just going to be a fascinating. This makes it even more fascinating. Throw in, I'm pretty sure the 95 reunion. I would assume that would be the day to do it. 30 years. Yep. So and then you can get the 97 talks going.
I was going to say, yep.
So it's and then you can get. So I'm just interested because you said, it could be 3-0, 4-0 going into that game. You don't get as much as that. We've heard that in previous years. The rest is going to be 5-0 by this time, 6-0, 7-0. Like even last year, you don't get that as much because of this Michigan game there. Maybe this opens up the door for Husker fans to start believing in their undefeated season for a while.
As just a pure team that's intriguing and interesting to me beyond Nebraska. Pure team. I'm intrigued by Oklahoma and Florida schedules. Like somebody has a personal beef with those two schools. Not our problem, but it's like, look at their schedules. And part of it, Florida did it to themselves. Look at their non-conference schedule. I mean, that's partially on you. Their in-conference is bad enough as it is. Michigan is probably the most intriguing team in the entire country to me outside of Nebraska. This is a team that won the national title a year ago. Their longest pass play of the entire year was 34 yards. The forward pass was just not a realistic option for them a year ago. To your point, they just went into Columbus and bloodied Ohio State right in the face. It punched them right in the mouth and just bloodied their nose. I would argue Ohio State tried to prove a point by winning the game a certain way instead of just going out and winning the game. If they approach that game a little bit differently, they probably win the game. But it didn't happen. Okay, what ifs? It doesn't matter. What happened is Michigan went into Ohio State, the eventual national champ, and beat them. And then they go into the bowl game. And the team, when you just look at pure talent composite rankings, they have a lot of youth in their secondary. But pure talent composite rankings at the time, Alabama was number 1 in the country. Then you had Georgia, you had Texas and Oregon and like. Again, I said the best roster was Ohio State when you factor in experience, etc. And they beat Alabama and were clearly the better team that day. Michigan this year, number 1 recruit in the entire country, a bunch of hoopla around his flip from LSU to Michigan, a bunch of money and all this types of stuff. I think most people project him to come in and win the job. We'll see what happens. But again, even if they lose to Oklahoma, it's going to be a huge game for Nebraska. But they beat Oklahoma. They come in undefeated. I mean, it's not far-fetched if we beat Cincinnati that we could be 3-0 going into that game. The next 2 opponents are games we should win. If we can't expect to beat teams like Akron and Houston Christian with nothing but respect for them, but if we can't expect to win those games, we got problems. 3-0. They're potentially 3-0. True freshman quarterback coming in here. This is a team that they find ways to win. They find ways to bloody you. They run the ball, smash mouth, blue collar, great defense, going to tackle, not going to beat themselves, not going to have penalties, not going to turn the ball over. But with the true freshman quarterback on the road, you never know what you're going to get. Now it's the same thing I said about Dylan a million times last year. You never know what you're going to get in the true freshman quarterback. The only thing I ever said I expect is up and down. That's why I was very consistent with that. And people would throw at me. He's a 5-star. I'm like, he's still 19. Like, you can't speed up the learning process. You've got to go through the process. Now they've got the same thing. If he wins the job, now maybe somebody else wins the job. He's the most talented guy in their quarterback room. He's obviously not the most experienced. So maybe early on in the year they give the benefit of the doubt to a vet, and maybe Bryce takes over as the year goes along. Bryce Underwood. We'll see what happens. But I looked at that Michigan game. I looked at that Michigan State game. Michigan State's going to be a much improved team. Jonathan Smith is a very good head coach. He played at Corvallis, was their quarterback the last time they were a really good team, top 5 in the country, 2000. Yeah, 2000, the year 2000. The year Oklahoma won the national title, beat Florida State. The year Miami should have been in because they beat Florida State but didn't get in. I digress. It doesn't irritate me at all to this day. But my point is simply, he was their quarterback the last time they were really good. Ended up number 4 in the country, only lost 1 game the whole year. And he was their head coach the last time they were pretty good. When he went to Corvallis 6-7 years ago, they were bad. And they stunk and they were awful. And when he left, they were a 9-10 win program. He's now at Michigan State. Now, I'm not saying they're all of a sudden going to be a juggernaut, but Michigan State's going to be a challenging team to beat. They are vastly improved. They've got a pretty good quarterback. They've got some experience. They've got some talent they brought in. They may be a year away from being like, wow, that's a really good team. But I can sit here and say I expect them to be pretty good. And Michigan State's going to come in the next week on October. We have a bye week between Michigan and Michigan State, which is actually perfectly timed for Nebraska. So 2 weeks after we play Michigan, October 4th, we'll welcome them into Lincoln that night. As far as Michigan, they could potentially have a true freshman quarterback. Their head coach will be out. And I tell you what, I think it's going to be a recipe for an exciting night in Lincoln. It's going to be an insane atmosphere. Again, I'm already like, man, if they're 3-0, we're 3-0. Even if they're 2-1, it could be Colorado-esque type atmosphere. And to me, it's something dude, it's May, right? Like, it's May. I feel like it's October. And I'm getting excited just sitting here talking about it. But Michigan is a team where they have such a culture, such an identity. You know exactly who they are. Yet, I have no idea what to expect of them because of all the question marks. But you do expect them to be pretty good. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on all this, Jake?
It is fascinating because you could get through, and I don't want to, downgrade any of this, but you could have a situation where Michigan beats Oklahoma, Nebraska beats Michigan. We're on top of the world, and nobody's really good out of the group, right? Because Oklahoma, Brent Venables is going in red hot on the hot seat there. Michigan, they just got a lot to replace, and this is going to be the year to kind of question that. Sharon Moore, you would like him to have his full opportunity here. We'll see what happens. By the way, committee on infraction hearing for Michigan set for June 6th and the 7th, so we could get more of a punishment. This is kind of their in-house punishment. We'll see what happens there. But Michigan has just this is where you see, it's easy to win with Harbaugh's players. A lot of those guys kind of stuck around. Now, Mason Graham's gone. Colston Loveland, you're tied in. Kenneth Grant up front. Will Johnson, the cornerback. Their two leading rushers from last year, Mullings and Edwards, are both out. So they have a lot to replace. And we know Michigan can recruit, but it's different between, they have a good player, and these are all Big Ten type of players. So it is going to be fascinating to see how all of this plays out. And this is the real kind of test to kind of see if Sharon Moore can keep that up, because they've got to replace so much in Ann Arbor. So it's going to be a wild ride, but hopefully Nebraska is going to end up on the good side of that. And I feel, I think a lot of us are kind of building ourselves back into the 9-win formula. And if you get there, this Michigan game could be important, but it's one that a lot of people check off as maybe would be a loss. But it's, again, I think it's more of a 50-50 than 60 or 70% Michigan.
Dude, if we beat Michigan, we're going 15-0. We're winning it all. Just mark it down right now. Let's go. They had a lot to replace last year. They lost their top 6 offensive linemen, Michigan did. They lost their quarterback. They lost their running back. They lost their head coach. They lost their strength and conditioning coach, who was the highest paid strength and conditioning coach in the country, and Jim Harbaugh called him the secret sauce. And then look what they did. You make a great point. They're replacing a lot again this year. Here's what I'll tell you. You said something that I hadn't even thought of, because who knows how good Oklahoma is? Who knows how good Michigan? Who knows how good Nebraska is? Michigan beats Oklahoma. All right. Michigan looks pretty good. Nebraska beats Michigan. We look pretty good. But what do we really know about any of those 3 teams at this point? That we're the best of those 3. To be clear, if we beat Michigan and we're 4-0 and we're going into that bye week, I'm going to be hyped and I'm going to be running through the glass. Okay, because that's just me. But how real is it? We'll find out as the season goes along, and we have to play week in and week out, and going down kind of the schedule. This is not our way too early record prediction show. We'll get to that at some point. I don't know. I've had a hard time doing that this year. I usually do it at least once every spring and then once right before the season. I've had a hard time doing it because I'm like, I love the coaching changes. I love what we've done in the transfer portal. I got to see it though, man. Like, I got to see things come to fruition. And here we go. The schedule's not that bad again. You were like, it's here we go again. I think last year, what's a little bit different for me than last year, because I actually think this year's schedule is a little bit harder than last year. Although, let's be real, Illinois turned out to be a lot better than we thought. Indiana was a lot better than we thought. But then it kind of balanced out. Wisconsin wasn't as good as we thought. Not when we played them. Same thing with Iowa. Okay, and I know we didn't win against Iowa, but neither of those teams were as good as we thought they were going to be at the beginning of the year. So it kind of balanced out. So you never know who's, like Michigan. We're sitting here talking about them in Michigan State. We think they're going to be this, but we really don't know, because here's 15,000 question marks. You look at the schedule, it doesn't look like Murderer's Row. November is not going to be easy. Okay, USC always has talent. I don't know how good they're going to be. They don't lack for talent, ever. Even when they don't win half their games, it's due to other things out there. Okay, UCLA seems to be going in the right direction under Deshaun Foster. Then you got Penn State, you got Iowa. Nico Iamaleava is just going to make the UCLA game interesting in general. Anyways, November is going to be an interesting month. USC, UCLA at Pasadena, at Penn State, Iowa at home. Okay, you look at the schedule, and I'm like, man, it doesn't look that bad. And I like a lot of the moves, and I like the talent, and I like the coaches. I'm not doing a prediction show for a while. I have to restrain myself. I will at some point. I have to restrain myself. But before we go to break, here's what does feel a little bit different than prediction shows last year. And I did it myself. And a lot of it was due to, we had a true freshman quarterback. I don't know what you're going to get out of him. Okay. Last year, it was all about the schedule's not that hard. The first 7, just mark it down, 7-0, right? Like, you heard that everywhere. It was about the schedule not being that hard, rather than I think the team can do this. This year, I think the schedule is a little tougher. I don't think it's Murderer's Row, but I actually think the team can do certain things regardless of the opponent. And that's what feels a little bit different about there. It's not just completely about, the schedule is very manageable. It's the schedule, I think, is a little bit more difficult, but very manageable. But I think we're going to be able to throw the ball better. I think we're going to be able to run the ball better. I think our defense may allow a few more big plays here and there just because there's a learning curve. But I think our defense is going to be insanely explosive, which is weird to say about a defense. But watch Vincent Shavers, watch Willis McGavey, watch Dawson McCullough. They're explosive athletes. So it wouldn't surprise me if there's a learning curve where we're like, oh, really? You just gave up that play? And then 3 plays later, strip sack fumble for an 80-yard touchdown or something like that. Because it's there athletically, you got to give it time to learn and grow. That's the one thing I will say that feels a little bit different about this year, as I just kind of like, all right, if I was to do a prediction show, what would it look like? I actually feel like I have more confidence in what we can do, not just confidence in, the opponents aren't that tough. Does that make sense, the difference I'm saying there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you said, I mean, it's easy to kind of argue your way into a schedule there. But I mean, for me, it's just, it becomes harder to do these predictions because some of these teams just have some pretty good success against Nebraska, like at Minnesota. PJ Fleck, I don't even know what it is. I think they won like 4 or 5 in a row against Nebraska. So every time going into a Nebraska-Minnesota game, I can talk myself into Nebraska winning that game, but they don't necessarily do it. So it just kind of gets into this point of like, well, they should win. They should win. But when some of these should wins turn into not wins over the years, it just kind of turns into, what do I know? So it's going to be exciting, but that is what is exciting about it is I don't want to arrive somewhere because I think the schedule softens up for you. I want to have faith that my team can go out there based on what I've seen and take care of these teams regardless of who's in front of you and put together a really good opportunity against, whether it be Michigan, Minnesota, just as much as you would think that they could beat, a Cincinnati or Northwestern.
It's a really good point. And again, this is why I'm not avoiding. I'm just like, I'm having a hard time doing a prediction show right now. I will do one before we kick off August 28th, but I did it just now. You literally just pointed out, thanks for the dagger, the Minnesota dagger, by the way. But your daggers are hurtful because they're so accurate, Jake. I did it here. I was like, all right, Michigan State. I literally just scrolled down right past Minnesota to USC, UCLA, Penn State, and Iowa. And that's why I talked about them. And literally, you make a great point. We have struggled on the road at Minnesota, 4 straight losses. So what is that, 8 years, 9 years since we've beaten them at Minnesota, if not longer? And I just scrolled right past Minnesota. That's the problem with doing these types of things, man. It's exciting. It's hard not to, I'm chomping at the bit to do them. Just got to let things settle. Just got to wait till the right time, whenever the heck that is supposed to be before we do one of these prediction shows. But yeah, when, I forget who put it out. They had us going 8-4. Was it the Vegas odds? I think we're favored to win 8 games, lose 4. And one of the 4, we're a 2-point underdog as of right now at Minnesota.
I mean, it's 5 straight losses now to Minnesota. Also, keep this in mind. Schools to have a first or second round pick in the last 6 NFL drafts: Ohio State, Georgia, Oregon, Penn State, Notre Dame, Michigan, Alabama, LSU, and Minnesota.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, people knock PJ Fleck. If I'm a Minnesota fan, I have 0 issues with PJ Fleck. I tell you what. All right, ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket is your place for English Premier League soccer. On Saturday, Everton plays Ipswich Town at 9 a.m., followed by Arsenal versus Bournemouth at 11:30 a.m. On Sunday, May 4th, Brighton plays Newcastle at 8 a.m., followed by Chelsea versus Liverpool at 10:30 a.m. Liverpool currently leads the standings with 82 points. You can find all this and more at McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket, your place for English Premier League soccer, located at 8th and P.
Psst. You know what's better than waking up early to go to the airport? Sleeping in. Lucky for you, the lines at the Lincoln Airport are so short and our service is so fast. You won't need to sacrifice precious beauty sleep to get here hours before your flight. So, go ahead. Sleep in. You deserve it. And choose the airport that helps you relax. LNK. make flying easy.
Why wait for fall? Deer season is here now at Landmark Implement. Through June 2nd, get up to $3,000 off select John Deere compact utility tractors or Gator XUVs, or choose 0% APR financing on the hard-working 4044M, 2 Series, 3D, and 3E compact utility tractors or full-size Gator models. There's never been a better time to get behind the wheel of a Deere. Hurry into Landmark Implement today and take advantage of these offers and experience the Landmark difference.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Garage doors can break down or quit working at the worst times. At Doors Plus, they understand that a broken garage door sometimes means repair and not replace. Sometimes, all you need to make your door like new again is a few bolts, a realignment, or even a new balance. Trust the pros at Doors Plus to handle your garage door repair the right way so you can get on with your busy schedule. Visit them online at DoorsPlusLLC.com or give them a call today at 402-590-5800. Doors Plus. Garage doors and more.
Are you a fan of local wine, craft beer, cider, or spirits? Don't miss SIP Nebraska's 12th anniversary celebration, May 9th and 10th at Mahoney State Park, and join others who share your passion for great drinks. Enjoy unlimited tastings, live music, delicious food, artisans, and lawn games as you celebrate Nebraska's vibrant beverage industry. And when you find one you love, you can buy a bottle to take home. Choose your ticket package at sipnebraska.com. The SIP Nebraska Spring Festival, a Blur event, May 9th and 10th at Mahoney State Park in Ashland.
Billy Currington is back on tour. Friday, June 13th, Pinewood Bowl Theater and Lincoln's Pioneer Park. Live in concert. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Midwest Bank is now hiring in Lincoln. They have multiple banking positions open and are looking for dynamic individuals passionate about helping others and building relationships. With a family-friendly culture, competitive benefits, and unique perks, Midwest Bank is a great place to start a new career. Apply today at midwest.bank. Midwest Bank is an equal opportunity employer, member FDIC.
It pays to participate in LES Peak Rewards. You can earn a $25 gift card when you enroll your qualified smart thermostat in the program. Help curb electric demand and sign up today at les.com/peak rewards.
At Planet Fitness, we're declaring it. This is the year of getting stronger, and you can get started now by saving when you join today. We have all the best-in-class equipment you could ever need, and you can work out your way on your time at any convenient location near you. Most open 24 hours. So let's do this. Join Planet Fitness today and save. Just $1 down, $15 a month.
Find your nearest club and join today. Deal ends Friday, May 16th.
See Home Club for details.
I tried to hide my cigarette smoking. Then I was rushed into emergency surgery to repair the damage smoking did to my heart. It shocked everyone because they thought I was healthy. Yet because I smoked, I had a severe heart condition that nearly killed me. My tip is, you may be able to hide your smoking from the world, but you can't hide from the damage smoking does to your body.
Call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. Check out all things The Ticket at theticketfm.com. Also, CarrikerChronicles.com as well. We got some textuals from the text line. What we got there, Jake?
Yeah, a few thoughts from the text line here. 2366 says Nebraska-Michigan will probably be a big noon kickoff.
I hadn't even thought about that. It's actually a fair point because Fox has the rights to the Big Ten. Their showcase game is the noon game. ESPN goes at night. CBS for years has had the SEC in the 3:30 window, at least 3:30 Eastern time. So that's why Fox took the noon window. And it makes a lot of sense from a business standpoint as far as always having the best Big Ten team going at noon. You kind of stand alone. You're going to be the big game, at least at that time. I get it. I understand it. I don't like it. You need to have your best games at night. Now, at least we're not Penn State with the whiteout tradition, and that really bothered them when they wanted to do the whiteout game. I believe it was versus Ohio State last year. I think Ohio State was on the big noon kickoff. I swear to God, it was like, hold on, what somebody say my favorite number was on the text line?
Riley W. says Adam Carriker's favorite number is 80,015,094.
80,015,094 times Ohio State had the big noon kickoff game last year. Nailed it, my friend. You nailed it exactly. I understand. It's business. It is about maximizing exposure so you can maximize selling marketing slots to sponsors and generating revenue. And noon was the best time available for the Big Ten. Completely get it, completely understand it. Don't have to like it, and I don't. Your better games, and I've always thought there should be a good game at noon. There should be a good game at 3:30. There should be a good game at 7. You can even slide one in at 8. So you got a couple on at night, all right? I don't mind having a couple of TVs going, or, there's this thing called a previous channel button on a remote when my kids aren't stealing the remote and hiding it from me. But my point is the Big Ten's going to have premier national games. And having the same teams on at noon all the time. Let's be honest, the Big Ten was a little bit top-heavy last year. Ohio State, Penn State, okay? Oregon as well. I'm still getting used to the West Coast teams being in there, but they're there, and I'm getting more used to it. If Nebraska played Michigan at noon, that'd be great if we're the big noon kickoff game. But how much better would it be if it was at night? Thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Obviously, it's just like you said, it's just kind of the window that they have to work with, and hopefully it kind of helps their big noon kickoff show. I think they addressed that, kind of coming in there. And I forgot that Ohio State fans did legitimately get upset last year because they were being put on big noon kickoff too much, which is it's the best as far as like advertising throughout the week. Fox will just pump it up the whole time. But can you bring? Even once in a while, you need to have an afternoon or a night game to bring recruits in so they're not rushing from the night before having played. I completely forgot about that. So that's a good point that you make there. A couple other thoughts here. Jason, a longtime listener, says, AC, you sound like Sean Callahan in the offseason national championship talk. Here we go again.
2 things. Number 1, I love Kool-Aid. Number 2, how dare you take shots at Sean? He's a black belt. He will knock you into next week. All right. It's hard, though, because like I said, I genuinely like things that have been done. There's still question marks out there. All right. The D-line is developing. Probably Nash and Ty were good, obviously. All right. Especially Ty took it to another level this past season. When you look at the pure athleticism in that room, it's as athletic a defensive line as we've had in a while. The second level, the linebackers, the athleticism is on another level. The experience is more in the back end. All right, with the DBs and whatnot. And Rule talked about how they could start with 4 or 5 different DB safety combinations. Jake pointed out, maybe nobody has stood out, which is why we're talking about that. You can also look at it as you've got depth or competition, multiple guys you trust. Hopefully it's not because nobody has stood out. No, as far as this is why I hesitate to do prediction shows, because you start to just, all right, win. Here's the deal. Until we start winning close games, until we start beating ranked teams, winning close games, having a winning record versus Big Ten opponents, it's hard not to get excited with what I've seen because I legit like it. But it's also hard until you see it. You got to see it on the field, which is why I also kind of hold back on the prediction shows. But I've talked about it before. Everybody wants to drink Kool-Aid. Nobody wants to sit here for months on end and be like, oh, this stinks. No, we want to be excited. I don't want to be thirsty. Give me the Kool-Aid. Quench my thirst, Jake. Stop pointing out Minnesota stats, by the way.
I sat on that one since the draft. So.
You have. You've just been waiting on it, huh?
I like to row the boat.
Does the Minnesota game become more intriguing to you? Like Malachi Coleman, a top Nebraska kid, Lincoln kid, transfers there. I assume he's going to play for him. He's a talented kid with a bright future. does it become more intriguing if he's like a starting wide receiver for Minnesota going against the Huskers that night or that day or noon or whenever the game is?
Yeah, I think it's more intriguing. It obviously adds a little bit to it. But again, we've just been through so much crap in the last so many years. Like, it's like, what would that feel like? What would it feel like when Noah Fant went off against Nebraska? Like, we've already been through these situations. So, yeah, I mean, I think it could add a little bit more to it. I'm just more interested overall in, like, breaking this 5-game streak against Minnesota. There should never be a situation where Nebraska has a 5-game streak. And all credit to PJ Fleck, and they do well, but it's not like they're routinely a top 15 team or anything. So 4 of those 5, the last 4 have been 1-possession games, if you can believe that.
Here's what I would love. Because we ended the losing season drought. We ended the drought versus Wisconsin. We won the bowl game. We finished with the winning season. We did some things last year. Here's what I'd like to do this year. Let's end the drought versus Minnesota. And we did win 2 one-score games last year. But let's have a winning record in one-score games. I believe we were 2-4 a year ago. I'd have to go back and double check. Let's have a winning record in one-score games. And let's the stats are too depressing. Okay. Since we've last beat a ranked team, let's beat a ranked team or 2. I believe that's allowed. That's allowed, right? We can beat 2 of them. Okay. Let's beat Minnesota, have a winning record in one-score games, and let's beat a ranked team. Let's start there. If we did that and we were 8-4 at the end of the regular season, by God, I'd be happy. All right. I'd be happy and I would take that. And I know the word jump, year 3 jump, year 3 jump has been thrown out by Matt Rule as much as anybody. And I'm like, that's awesome. I personally wish he'd stop saying it. Let the play on the field do the talking. He likes to do it. That's totally cool. For me, I'm just like a jump. For me, it implicates 9-3 at least. Like a jump is not improving by 1 win, 7 to 8 wins. If we beat Minnesota, had a winning record in one-score games, and beat a ranked team, and we ended up 8-4, I'd be very, very happy with that. And let's just keep building on that going forward. All right. Anything else from the textual line there?
Ken E off of YouTube says, beat the teams on the schedule you should beat. Then we can start talking about Michigan and Penn State. I just want the team to think about the next play, not the next game.
He's 100%. I agree with that comment 100%. Like, that's what Penn State does. Like, I'm not a Penn State guy, but I just don't want to jinx James Franklin. I don't want to jinx Penn State. They beat everyone they're supposed to. They never lose to anybody they're not supposed to beat. They always beat the teams they're supposed to. Right now, it's the Michigans and the Ohio States that get them. And they had Notre Dame beat. And then Notre Dame came out and ended up winning that game to go to the national championship. He's done such a great job at Penn State. I would be cool with having the problem of, hey, we're going to beat all these teams we should beat. Now, how do we beat Ohio State? How do we beat Michigan? How do we beat Penn State? How do we beat those teams in the upper echelon? If that became the problem once again, I'd be totally cool with that. All right. Anything else?
Nothing as of now.
So when you think of all time, just freakishly great athletes, who pops into your head?
Probably LT, on the defensive side. Then, you kind of think of like even LeBron. I mean, that's part of the reason why for his greatness. Those type of guys.
Absolutely. I mean, for me, I go to multiple things. Like, who can do multiple things? That's what I think of. So I immediately think of Bo Jackson. I immediately think of Deion Sanders. Carl Lewis won so many medals in different events in the Olympics. Obviously, Michael Phelps has the most amount of medals, and he did it in different races. Okay. Bo Jackson, I came across his senior year stats of high school the other day. I think I'm going to say this right. McDory High School in Alabama. All right. His senior year rushing yards, not going to blow you away, 1,173 yards, averaged 11 yards per carry. Why didn't they give him the ball more? That was my thought. All right, 17 rushing touchdowns. He was also a defensive end. Think about that. Bo Jackson coming off the edge, trying to rip your head off as a quarterback. A defensive end, a kicker, and kick returner. That's just being an athlete right there. Obviously, pretty good at baseball. Did all right in the majors. Hit 20 home runs. Had a batting average of over 500. Tied the national high school record for home runs. National high school record. Struck out 14 batters when he was pitching. I didn't even know he pitched. in the state championship game. So I got 14.
Man.
All right, then you get to track and field. Won the state decathlon championship, which is the ultimate of just doing a million different things, by the way, the decathlon. Set the state record in triple jump, which is, does that say 48 feet 8 inches? Does that sound right? That seems like really far.
Yeah.
That's got to be a misprint. All right, state high school record in the high jump, 6 feet 9 inches. I mean, he just basically sets record in just about every sport that he does, and he does everything, even kicker, defensive end, running back. Like, I've always thought, man, him as an athlete, us as fans being able to watch him, that hip injury that he had, he was just never the same afterwards. Like, that's a guy that I wished he was really in his prime, and I was just a little too young to understand what was going on at that point in time. I wish he could have played longer, obviously, for him, but for people like me and for fans in general, like, he's a legit, when you say generational talent, that is a generational talent right there. All right, a couple quick things before we head to break. Who do you think, amongst all the rookies that were just drafted, are the 4 guys that have the most amount of jerseys that have been sold up to this point since the draft?
Well, Cam Ward would be up there. I think Shedeur Sanders, I've seen the headlines, has been up there. Ashton Genty.
Yep.
Boy, and I got to think of somebody else here. I don't know. I get blanking on the last one. Oh, the Heisman, Travis Hunter. Yeah. How did I miss that one?
Shedeur Sanders is 3rd. 5th round pick is 3rd. I'm just curious to see how this unfolds, because people love, like, right now it's easy to hate on him. For me, I don't think I've ever hated on him. I just said, hey, there's gigantic things to be concerned about here. And I said it a long time ago. I don't think that's hating. I think it's just honesty, or my honest opinion and take. I could have been wrong. Obviously, some other people saw similar things. But man, people also love a comeback story. What if he goes into Cleveland and he's in there with Deshaun Watson, Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, all first-round picks, Super Bowl champ. And then you've got another rookie who was drafted 2 rounds ahead of you, and Dylan Gabriel. And he's able to go in, carry himself the right way, work hard, earn respect, at some point earn the starting job and have a successful NFL career. It could be potentially one of the most awesome comeback stories you've ever heard of, because you've never seen a fall like this in the NFL draft. Like I said before, most people fall from like top 5 to top 25 in the draft. Brady Quinn fell to 22. Aaron Rodgers fell to 24. Like, those were big deals. He fell days. He fell days. By the way, there was the last guy drafted in the 3rd round. He was in there the entire time in the green room. And he sat there by himself. He was drafted by Green Bay, and Roger Goodell actually, because he was still in there and didn't leave, came out and announced the pick himself.
Oh, nice.
And I thought that was pretty cool. And that was a very cool moment for that young man. But this could potentially, it could potentially go even worse than it is. It could also potentially be one of the most intriguing comeback stories we've ever seen in sports, because we've never seen a draft go anywhere near or anything close to like what we just saw with Shedeur. So I'm curious to see how that unfolds. All right, ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Roses are red, violets are blue. You should treat mom to some barbecue. At Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, we think award-winning moms deserve award-winning barbecue without having to lift a finger. We invite you and your family to gather around our table on Mother's Day for Hog Wild slow smoke favorites, or place an order to go online at gohogwild.com for a spring picnic where mom is the guest of honor. We look forward to seeing you this Mother's Day. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway in Lincoln.
Authentic Mexican food is not always easy to find, but you can find it in Lincoln at Tacos Los Hermanos. Their birria tacos are worth the drive from anywhere in town, but their chicken, chorizo, al pastor, and asada tacos are also worth the trip. You can also try any of those meats in a burrito or quesadilla. You won't find a better toppings bar in the area or better dessert options. If you can't get there, don't worry, they do deliver as well. Stop by Tacos Los Hermanos for lunch or dinner today at 70th and Havelock Streets in Lincoln.
Big news from your Nebraska Lottery. Mega Millions is now more mega than ever. First off, a new multiplier is built into the game. Plus, there are now bigger jackpots, better odds, and prizes start at $10. So don't miss out on these fantastic enhancements. Visit your favorite Nebraska Lottery retailer today and play Mega Millions with the new built-in multiplier, bigger jackpots, better odds, and prizes starting at $10. Drawings Tuesdays and Fridays. $5 Mega Millions top prize odds, 1 in 290 million.
Get ready for the largest dirt late model event in Nebraska, race fans. The Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series is heading to Eagle Raceway's High Bank Heist on Thursday, May 15th through Saturday, May 17th. See the greatest dirt late model stars in the country compete for $10,000 to win on both Thursday and Friday, and an enormous $50,000 to win 75-lap main event on Saturday. The High Bank Heist, May 15th through May 17th at Eagle Raceway. For more info, visit eagleraceway.com. Let's go Lucas Oil Late Model Racing. Eagle Raceway, just 10 miles east of Lincoln on O Street.
Midwest Bank is now hiring in Lincoln. They have multiple banking positions open and are looking for dynamic individuals passionate about helping others and building relationships. With a family-friendly culture, competitive benefits, and unique perks, Midwest Bank is a great place to start a new career. Apply today at midwest.bank. Midwest Bank is an equal opportunity employer, member FDIC.
Billy Currington is back on tour. Friday, June 13th, Pinewood Bowl Theater at Lincoln's Pioneer Park. Live in concert. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com.
Prashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
Are you buying a home? Westgate Bank understands that you need to make important decisions during your home buying journey. Our local lenders in Lincoln and Omaha make themselves available so you can get the information you need to know. Use our mobile mortgage app to manage your transaction from pre-qualification to closing, no matter where you are. Get the service and convenience you want from a local community bank where our interest is you. Learn more and visit us online at westgate.bank. Westgate Bank, equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in temperature-controlled high-end wine room. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting bar. There's only one place to go for all your needs for spirits and cigars. That's Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeyman electricians from $32.50 to $42.50 per hour with paid benefits. And if you're looking for a new career, they're hiring apprentices at $19.50 per hour with paid benefits. Call the office at 402-423-4497 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Cobble Chevrolet GMC, and they're having the biggest hail sale they've ever had. A huge opportunity is at your front door right now. Some of these cars we're fixing, some we're not, and some it's totally up to you. New Sierra starting at $15,000 off list. New Canyons at $8,500 off list. New body styles on the Acadias, $3,000 off list. You need to hurry as there's going to be a lot of people heading to Louisville. Check us out at cobblecars.com. Stock numbers G121492. G187747 and G196599.
This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Boom! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the last segment of today's Adam Carriker Show episode. I think this is pretty cool. Raiders tight end Brock Bowers is not participating in the team's voluntary offseason program because he is finishing up his finance degree at the University of Georgia to secure his future. All right. I can appreciate and respect that. Now, Matt Rule talked about recently how he's going to handle the spring transfer portal window. Nebraska head coach Matt Rule took over the job at the same time the NIL and transfer portal took off in college sports. They made for a unique change in how he has to build a program. Despite that change, Rule maintains an approach from when he first became a head coach. So even with the spring transfer portal window obviously in full swing right now, he still wants to focus on conversations with individual players about their improvement and role. He said, and I quote, "I'm going to still coach these guys as if it's 10 years ago. In terms of I'm going to meet with every player after spring and talk about what they need to do to become a great player." I put a picture of Cam Jurgens up the other day for the guys to see. Like I did a photo display, and the first picture was him in a spandex at a Coach Frost Go Big Red camp, and they didn't even fit. Then it was him while he was here. Then him at Pro Day. The transition, right? Did 16-year-old Cam Jurgens know that someday he would sign an extension for $69 million? I don't know, but he stayed in the process, end quote. Now, NIL is often going to be a factor in transfers. However, Rule has made it clear that he isn't involved in those negotiations. He has staff for that. Instead, he likes to focus on his conversations on football. And I quote, "My job when I meet with the guys after spring ball is always to tell them, this is what I think you need to do. I'm accessible 24/7. I'm happy to talk to guys. I don't talk to guys about money. I don't talk to guys about money that was written twice. I don't think that's good business. I think my conversation with guys should be about football. Pat Stewart and Sean Padden are here to talk about the financial piece when there's a financial component. There's a reason why I have an agent. If there's something in my contract, I don't want to start having those conversations. I'm not adept at that," end quote. So basically, he's talking about he leaves the financial part of it up to Stewart, up to Padden, up to the GM type guys. He wants to focus on developing the guys that are here, and he wants to coach them like he's coached guys for the past 10 years, which is a bit of a challenging thing to do in today's day and age in college football. You might develop a guy, he might enter the portal, get a big payday, go somewhere else. Now, the SEC has the rule where if you transfer within the SEC to another conference opponent, you have to sit out a year. So most guys who transfer in the SEC go out of conference. The Big Ten, I don't believe, has that, which is why we could see Malachi Coleman this year. And so you could end up playing against the guy that you helped develop into him getting a big paycheck, and then it comes back on you. But I don't know how else you approach it. Do you just ditch high school recruiting and development? You can't do that. Well, if you're Dion, you can do that. I don't know how that's going to work out long-term for him, by the way. There has to be a foundation. Anytime you build something, there has to be a foundation. If it's all through the portal or 90% or more, which is Dion's philosophy, there's no foundation. So there has to be a foundation. In other words, there has to be a bedrock of high school recruiting and development. But at the same time, it's hard to do that nowadays. What are your quick thoughts on this, Jake, before we get out of here today?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think that's like I like that the way that they're doing it, and that is the way that I would do it as well if you're a coach, right? Like, don't allow any of that stuff to boggle your mind. You gotta play the best players on the field. Don't have favoritism between this and that. So when it gets to just coaching, I like that. But it's hard for me to believe that he doesn't know the numbers, right? Like he would.
Oh, he knows the numbers.
Incredibly intrigued by what you're doing. So I believe that he's involved. But as far as that's kind of closed doors. As far as opening up to the team, that's where I think it is wise to just kind of take the coaching role and let the other people handle it. I'm just saying I don't think he's as hands off as maybe he's implying.
Well, so I would liken it to the NFL. Like anytime my agents were negotiating a contract or whatever the case may be, whether it be new contract, restructuring, whatever the case, an extension it might look like, it was always my agents with the GM. But I always knew the coach was looped in. So the coach is not directly involved in the negotiations as far as he's not speaking to my agent, but you guarantee he knows what's going on and he knows who's getting paid what. Otherwise, you're just really bad at your job. I think he's just saying, I'm going to allow those guys to handle that. I don't think he's saying, I don't have a clue what's going on or I don't know what's going on. But that's why you have, I looked at all the guys that are listed as Husker coaches and all the other names. It's like a 3-page list. You got the assistant to the assistant to the assistant to the assistant to the GM, and then you got everything else. And I'm kind of having fun with it. But it's what college football is. It's what it's become, and it allows Matt Rule to focus more on what he needs to do. But, yeah, I guarantee he's aware of what's going on. All right, anything else there, Jake, before we get out of here? And I won't see you for 48 hours.
Oh, yeah, well, I'll be a little bit sad. But, no, I think that's good for now.
I will miss you, too. I'm going to come back a new man. All right.
That's right.
Have a good day. Go, Big Red Nose. Remember to throw the bones.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Under.